all probably wondering about that thumbnail. It looks like a top 10 worst movies of the year thumbnail, but no, it's a thumbnail for the top 10 best movies of the year. And you know why I look so disappointed? It's because 2020 has been the worst year for films of all time. Okay, it's not the theater's fault, and it's certainly not the filmmaker's fault. All of the blame gets put on the studios as well as COVID-19. Because of this pandemic, 2020 has been a cesspool for cinema. Thankfully, we were given a couple of films that were great and blockbusters this year because the studios felt they couldn't push a couple of films back any longer. But most movies that were supposed to come out in 2020, especially the blockbusters, were all pushed back to 2021 and later, so that left us with a pretty crappy year for movies. In fact, it took a pretty long time for us to get our next blockbuster after March. The next one that came was Tenet. That came out in September, so if you do the math, that's a pretty long time in between blockbusters that we had this year. So overall, 2020 has been horrible, but one good thing to take away for my channel this year has been how my channel has grown almost twice as large as it was a year ago. And that's all thanks to you guys. So thank you so much for subscribing to my channel, watching my videos, because I've been pouring my heart and soul into this channel for the 4.5 years that I've been doing it. And now it's starting to finally pay off. So thank you guys once again. Even though this has been a horrible year for movies, it has been great making YouTube videos for all of you guys. And in this video, because of you, I will still be doing my top 10 favorite movies of the year. In an ordinary year, I would have a lot of honorable mentions as well as films that deserve to be in my top 10 list. But I am making exceptions this year. I only saw about 22 films that came out in 2020, so I didn't have too much to choose from. But I did find about 10 films that I do feel like deserve to be on this list because they are good films, each in their own right. None of these films are at all bad. I enjoyed watching all of them, so I do have 10 films here on my list, as well as one honorable mention for you guys. My one honorable mention is Birds of Prey, because I remember enjoying that movie. I gave it a pretty high score. It was in the high 70s, but it's an honorable mention because I barely remember a single thing from that movie. All I can remember is enjoying most of it, especially Ewan McGregor, who played the film's villain. That's about it, so I can't give it a higher ranking or even put it on my list because I can't remember anything that happened in the movie. So sorry, Birds of Prey. That movie was a flop for audiences, and it flopped right here on my top 10 list. All right, let's get down to business. Here are my top 10 best movies of 2020. Number 10. I talked about the trial of the Chicago 7 yesterday, complaining about how the film has an obvious bias. There's a political agenda behind the making of this movie, but I can look past that. This movie is both well written and well directed by Aaron Sorkin, who deserves to get nominated for an Oscar every single time the man both writes a script and directs a movie. He knows exactly what he's doing, and this script is really sharp. Also, the performances from Sacha Baron Cohen, Frank Langella, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, to just name a few, are incredible, and this film's finale is one worth standing up for. I wanted to applaud at the end of this film because it honors the troops from Vietnam. It is honoring those who fell for us in that war. Number 9. The Devil All the Time is at number 9. This was one of the most intense movies I saw in 2020. It gave me a lot of creepy vibes. The performances in this movie were all different for the actors who portrayed the characters. You've never seen Tom Holland or Robert Pattinson give a performance quite like the ones we see in this film. My viewing experience even felt personalized. For a film that has a lot of A-list actors, the scale of this film is very small. So for that reason, this movie felt a lot different from other movies that I've seen before with a lot of A-list actors. Number 8. The Gentleman is at 8. Man, I saw this movie last January, just about a month and a half before everything went to complete crap. But thankfully, we were given The Gentleman because this was actually a pleasant surprise, especially for a January movie. It's fast-paced, always kept me entertained. Matthew McConaughey is awesome as always. Charlie Hunnam, Colin Farrell, and the rest of the crew stole the show. For Guy Ritchie, this has to be his best movie, maybe since Snatch. The man has come back to life, and it's great to see him return to form.
Number 7.
The Way Back ranks number 7 on my list. I'm a huge sucker for sports movies as well as Ben Affleck lead performances and Gavin O'Connor behind the camera, so it should not come as a surprise that this movie ranks as high as it does on my list. This, without a doubt, is the best work from Ben Affleck to date. Gavin O'Connor does a great job at helming the film as he usually does. You have all the elements from past sports movies that made them so good here in this film too, which is why this movie makes me want to stand up and cheer. It's one of those films that I get behind all the characters. I'm rooting for them. I want this team to improve over the course of its season because at the beginning of this movie, everyone on this team sucks. But by the end of this film, that completely changes thanks to Ben Affleck, and the ending of this movie completely caught me by surprise. I had no clue where this movie was going in its finale, and that's something different for a sports movie. Usually you know exactly where a sports movie is going from beginning to end, but that is not at all the case with The Way Back.
Number 6.
Nobody thought that Sonic the Hedgehog was going to be as good as it was, but surprise! Sonic the Hedgehog ended up being one of my favorite movies of the entire year. Sonic is a blast of a movie. The character Sonic is really likable. Jim Carrey goes all out Jim Carrey mode. James Marsden is a lot of fun. It's certainly not as well made as some of the previous entries on my list, but that's not to say this movie doesn't deserve to be higher up on my list, because I would say this movie is more fun than the previous entries on my list, if that makes any sense. And Sonic the Hedgehog was my last great viewing experience at a movie theater. I can't think of another movie I saw in theaters where I had as big of a crowd, where the noise was as loud from the crowd. I had a great time at the theaters watching Sonic the Hedgehog.
Number 5.
Onward might not be as good as the other Pixar movie that came out this year, but it's still good enough to the point where I am willing to put it in the top 5 on my top 10 movies of the year. Like all Pixar movies, Onward has some great themes. The voice acting from Chris Pratt and Tom Holland was well done. The two work off each other to an exceptional degree. We get the Pixar adventure in Onward. I always enjoy watching that on the screen. I feel like this movie could get a sequel just because of the vast world building alone. Plus, the ending of Onward caught me in my feelings. I wanted to cry. Pixar always does that to me, and Onward certainly succeeded when it wanted to bring out my emotions.
Number 4.
Extraction lands at number 4. Netflix killed it in 2020. Theaters stunk it up, but Netflix did a great job at grabbing a lot of movies that otherwise would have been in theaters, and it also did a great job with its own original movies. Extraction being a Netflix original, this movie was action-packed. It completely blew me away. It has impressive camera work. I surprisingly cared a lot about our characters, and the ending wrecked me. Good job, Netflix. They've actually done a really good job in making their own Netflix originals recently. Last year, 2019, we had Triple Frontier, and this year we had Extraction.
Number 3.
The Invisible Man was absolutely the best movie I saw in theaters pre-pandemic this year. Talk about a movie that's extremely suspenseful. There was not a single moment in this film where I was not on the edge of my seat. It's a great mix of both the horror and thriller genres. There are some shocking moments in the film. The acting is superb. Elizabeth Moss gives her all-time greatest performance. I actually felt scared while watching this movie, and I was constantly intrigued to see how this mystery would unravel. The Invisible Man might be the best thriller of this entire year.
Number 2.
Tenet comes in second place on my list. If there were no such thing as this COVID-19 pandemic, I guarantee you that Tenet probably still would have been in my top 5 for favorite movies of the year. Maybe it still would have been at number 2, because Christopher Nolan gives his best movie to audiences in the form of Tenet, probably since maybe Inception. After Dunkirk's disappointment, I thought all hope was lost for Christopher Nolan, but nope, that is not the case. Christopher Nolan is still here. He is a force to be reckoned with, like he has always been. Tenet is such a great blockbuster. It's gotta be the most epic movie from Christopher Nolan in years. The cast is stacked. John David Washington, Robert Pattinson, Elizabeth Debicki, and Kenneth Branagh are all on their A game. Tenet's action is terrific. The opening and closing sequences put me in a euphoric state, and the concept is entirely original. If this movie weren't so confusing, I guarantee you it probably would be my favorite film of the year, but because it's so convoluted, I can't do it, guys.
Number 1.
Soul is my favorite movie of the year. This should come as no surprise because yesterday I talked about how much I loved it. I gave it a 95%. This is one of the most perfect Pixar movies to date. It rivals that of Coco and Inside Out for one of the best Pixar movies in the last 10 years. It's that good. I said it yesterday, but I'll say it again. Soul is unique, funny, it has great themes that relate to everyone, excellent voice work from Jamie Foxx and Tina Fey. The animation is beautiful, the world is one I want to explore more of, and at the end of the day, it's a heartwarming film. It's one that will connect with each and every single soul out there. So there you guys have it. Those are my top 10 best movies of 2020. Yeah, this list probably would have been completely different had the pandemic never ruined everything, but it is what it is. I still made a list for you guys because I am really thankful that you guys are all there for me, have been watching my videos all year long, have helped my channel grow. So this video was made for you guys. I want to thank you guys once again. Of course though, guys, if you also happen to have your top 10 favorite movies of the year list, I would not be surprised if you don't, because yeah, but if you do, well, absolutely let me down below in the comment section what that list is, because I would love to see it. As always, guys, if you are new to my channel, click the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thank you guys all so much for watching my videos in 2020. I cannot wait to do more things for you guys in 2021. I hope you all enjoy your new year and have a fantastic day.